Hey, John, could you close the door?
Yeah.
Welcome to another Brooklyn Music Factory webinar. I'm your private lesson director, Benjamin Healy. Joining me today is our esteemed founder, director, leader, Nate Shaw. Drum department extraordinaire, Nicholas Schubeck. And also on the scene, facility manager, John Speck.
We got a full crew. What's our topic today, Ben?
Today's topic is how to MC a private lesson gig.
Sweet. Let's fire up our doc there so I can just reference our cheat sheet.
So I'm going to do a screen share here so you can see a little bit of what we're reading here. So we have on our Google Drive this document entitled MCing a PL Gig. All right. Okay. So.
All right. Yeah, so let's go through a few key points right off the bat. Number one, there's a whole bunch of roles in a private lesson gig. Nicholas, what's an example of a role at a private lesson gig that a faculty member might play?
Gig manager. Gig manager.
Mm-hmm. Would you mind putting my, yeah, there you go, Merci Buttercups. What's another example of a role that a faculty member might play, Ben Healy?
As in gig jobs, I'm going to be helping like keyboard patches and assigning keyboard patches.
Nice.
Assisting the piano players.
Stage management.
Right.
Yeah, stage management. Another role is you might be a musician on a song, right? Dig it. Well, another role you're going to be could potentially be the MC, right? And the MC of a gig has like a super unique position. They are kind of the tour guide of the gig. They are the ringleader of the gig. I like to think of the MC as like, you know, the circus master, right? They make sure that the gig starts on time. They get the audiences onboarded. They keep the gig moving on time. And then they close the gig on time with a big hurrah. And finally, they make sure that the house actually clears on time, right? So that MC is actually the ringleader. Dig it? Which is a really unique position to be in. So let's walk through what each different facet of that. How do I just get this over here? Sorry, thank you. I don't really need to see me. Sweet. So let's talk about what the MC is never responsible for. Right. So yeah.
Stage management.
Stage management. Like the MC is not going to be the person who's helping with the keyboard patch or finding that guitar cable. The MC is also almost always not going to be the person who's playing. Sometimes they will be, but very rarely, right? Because the MC needs to be able to start the song, help the musician start, needs to know when it's over, they can go straight back to engaging the audience, right? They're also, sometimes they're the producer of the gig, but a lot of times they're not. So number one, define what you're not doing if you are going to take on the role of MC. Coolio. Number two, the MC is going to be the person who engages directly with the audience consistently. They're going to be the first person that audience gets to know, right? So one of the ways we do that is in the introduction. We're going to talk more detail about that, but know that as an MC, you're probably going to be playing a live BLAM game one time, right? So we'll talk a little bit about how to do that, and we'll talk about some of the ones that we've done in the past that are more successful and some of the ones we've done in the past that are less successful. And then finally, as I mentioned before, the MC is what? The timekeeper. So we do, I mean, Ben and I we'll oftentimes find ourselves getting into the weeds when we have our meetings together each week. So we will regularly be using a timer to keep us on point. The MC has to be very comfortable with the clock, right? Starting on time, ending on time, moving the thing along on time. Anything else you cats want to add just from your observation before we dive into the three sections of a gig and what an MC does?
Well, definitely, and if you want to get into the strategies, you know, of how to move things along on time or start on time.
Yeah, we'll
you know,
you want to just dive right into the intro and talk about that?
Yeah, I think definitely that's one of the main challenges in emceeing is keeping the show moving.
Yeah.
And just, I guess to add on to your intro of it is just how important it is to maintain that connection with the audience and to know that we're holding their attention and that, you know, we want to take some of the pressure off of the students for a moment so that they can get up there, get their bearings, get settled. So we both draw attention to their achievements, but then also deflect some of the attention so that they have a chance to get comfortable.
Yeah.
So you're in this constant, as an MC, you're in that dance. You know, every song you're setting it up, getting the students on the stage and talking about what's about to happen.
Well, you're continuously stepping in and out of the spotlight.
Right, and then right after a song, you know, taking a moment to give a shout out to some you know, notable achievement or just to celebrate all that we just heard.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, I love that. And if I can just highlight that one phrase you used that I thought was so important is that you are relieving the pressure from the musicians. But wouldn't you also agree that the MC sort of relieves the pressure from the faculty as well? Right? So the faculty are trying to get their musicians onto the bandstand situated. The faculty are trying to make sure that the music is set to the right place on the night. All these things, and the MC actually is a huge proponent, like kind of a champion of that.
And yeah, just to say one thing that you're not doing too. This is something that I heard, you know, but we talked about a few years ago. That in order to take attention away for a moment, that we're not actually trying to distract from what's going on the bandstand.
Yeah.
So, for example, something that I would not do as much lately is to tell jokes, bad musician jokes. You know, as much as I'm tempted to at times, we want to be actually celebrating what's happening on the bandstand, whatever it is, and not trying to, you know, do some other distracting kind of song and dance, you know. So
yeah, sweet.
We're involving the audience in the whole production. All right.
Totally, and that brings me straight into the intro. So I think of the gig as an intro, as the body of the gig, and as the close, right? So it's a 3-part event. So the intro is exactly what Ben's saying. It's about settling the faculty, all of the different roles that people are playing. It's about settling the crowd. And in so doing, it's exactly what you were saying, Ben. It's about engaging them. It's being like, let's be present here for an hour together, and let's go through this process together. This is not like a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am show with like what you were saying, like, hey, let's distract you from the randomness that's happening. No, let's actually just sort of bathe in it. You know, so the intro is, and I love this, I think I got this from, someone was saying that, like Bono talked about it. He said, you know, when you go out there, and in his case, it's like a friggin' stadium, he called it like, he used the term engage. He was like, you need to engage the audience. He's like, are you bringing them in to what's about to happen? Because otherwise they're just going to be out there doing whatever they want. It's their version of the experience. And what you want to do is say, like, this is what's happening right here and now, and this is why. And so the way we do this is first of all, we just say hello. We welcome them. We introduce ourselves. You know, here, I'll try one. And John, you want to try one?
Sure.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started. My name's Nate Shaw. I'm one of the co-founders here at the Brooklyn Music Factory, and I'm so happy that you are here with us today. I'm going to give you this opportunity right now to just take a deep breath. And allow yourselves to let go of whatever you brought into the factory and just be present right here, right now. Let's go ahead and do it. How about 3 deep breaths together? Breaths together. One more. See, we're already feeling better. We're already feeling better. So that would be a version of me just saying, like, come on, let's just be here right now. And so I achieved two things. I introduced myself because they don't know who I am. I'm not a faculty member at BMF. They don't know why I'm up there talking to them usually. I'm not someone like John, who they might see hovering around constantly in the facility. So they're just like, well, I know this dude's here. Like, or Nicholas, who a lot of them just already know anyways, because they have long relationships. So I introduce myself, and then I also just make the here and now what this is all about. John Speck, you want to take a stab at it? Your version. You gotta be you, dude. You got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Ladies and gents, welcome to BMF. I'm John Speck. You may see me around. I'm the facilities manager. I may be filling in for somebody today, but we're very glad to have you at BMF today. We're super excited. These kids have been working on this music, and adults have been working on this music for a while now, and it's going to be a beautiful celebration of their experience today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come here, and I hope you enjoy the show.
Beautiful. Boom. Nicholas?
Sure, I'll do that.
Nice.
Hi everyone. My name is Nicholas Schubeck, Nick Schubeck, and this gig tonight marks the beginning of the most fun part of the school year here at BMF. As you know, our mission at BMF is to provide tools to our students, provide the tools to like become lifelong musicians. And right here, right now, we put this into play, and this is exactly what this is all about. So as the band is settling in, and you can see like activities around, you know, I want to welcome you and have fun. Let's get this show going.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicholas. So Nicholas touched on a great part of the intro. Whoops, sorry, hold on, I'm back. Nice. Nicholas said, I was reading from the sheet. You'll notice on our emceeing a gig, we point out exactly what, how, you know, some scripts you can use to, help with your intro. So, do you mind, can I just go right here, or do we need to?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So, number one, you could say the mission. BMF has a simple purpose, and that is to inspire our musicians and to build community. You are in it right now. This is our community. This is, as Nicholas put it, this is frankly the most fun manifestation of community that we know. Getting a whole bunch of people in the room to play music together.
Sure.
Dig it? Now, let's go on, and another variation, sorry, on the mission that I sometimes use is, you know, we build community, and we, as Nicholas pointed out, we want to have lifelong musicians. And in order to ensure that someone makes music for life, we believe that this is a social art form, and that we want to give our musicians the tools that they need in order to be able to play in a band together. You'll notice on the gig today that your daughter or your son will never, ever, ever be playing alone up on stage. They will always be connecting with other musicians. Cool? Okay, let's move on to the body of the gig. So the intro of the gig is all about audience enrollment. Sorry, that was the term that Bonnie used, audience enrollment. How do you enroll your audience into your experience? Love that. The gig itself, this is the body of the gig. Going back to Ben's point, number one, you got to move the gig along. Got to move the gig along, okay? So what that means is you have to start on time. In order to start on time, Nate's ninja tip number one, you gather all the members of your team, including the producer, like Nicholas is producing this Friday, 5 minutes before downbeat and say, guys, I'm starting in 5 minutes. Can everyone account for their musicians? Right? That's when they do a last minute head count. Got it? Remember, the MC is the one who's going to have the program in hand. Why does the MC have a program in hand? Because they're the only one who's actually moving the program along. Dig it? So the MC has the program in hand. I actually got this tip from Ben. 5 minutes before, do we have all our musicians in hand? What is a classic example of a challenge you're going to have 5 minutes before, Ben? Share one with us quick. What will you have you seen dozens of times?
I can't find this student. Where are they? They're late. Right?
They're late.
Find parking, and they're in the opening song. What do we do?
Well, the MC says, great, I'm going to take that opening song and I'm going to move it down to slot number 5. So the MC has his or her own program that they're doctoring up. Got it? So then that's 5 minutes before the gig. Then you get to 1 minute before the gig. Guys, I'm going to start in 1 minute. Okay, at that 5 minutes before the gig is when the producer and the faculty get their musicians up onto the bandstand. I'm going to say that again. 5 minutes before the gig, the musicians are beginning to gather on the bandstand for song number 1. Dig it?
All right, so the intro that you were just talking about earlier is happening in front of a bandstand that's already populated.
Great point.
So
yes, I should have made that clear.
So that you can start.
Exactly. Why is that? Because once you're done, you can start right away.
Right.
Yes,
you want to be able to segue directly from your fantastic intro into the first song. So yeah, coming out of the intro, you're going, so you've introduced the gig, you know, and why we're here, and then you introduce the musicians that are up on that stage, you know, say, on drums we got Nate, on keys we got, you know, John, and just going that, and then, all right, ready? When you're ready, just count it off.
Yes.
Take it away.
Coolio. So this brings us to the actual gig, the raison d'etre, why we're all here today. So now you've got your audience enrolled. You've got a band up on the bandstand. Everybody's got a program. You've made any adjustments to the program. You've announced out loud, actually, song number 1 is going to go number 5, all that stuff, and now you're ready to hit. This is a crucial move right here. This is where you set the tone for the rest of the gig. Turn around. I see that Nicholas is up on bass. Oftentimes, Nicholas likes to play bass on the gigs. So there's Nicholas on bass. I look here and I say, musicians, who's going to count us off? And I make sure to give ownership to the band. That's a huge issue. Oftentimes the MC, getting back to what Ben was saying, is in this idea like, okay, let's go. Ready? Right? And this is where you just need to take that breath and be like, okay, musicians, Nicholas, who's going to be counting us off today? And Nicholas says, Kiwi's got it.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's when they take ownership. They play their song. Crash, bang. The song ends. Kiwi closes out with an extra cymbal crash. Crowd goes wild. And as an MC, you're right back in there. Just as the cymbal crash is ending, you're like, one more time. Let's hear it for Kiwi on the drums. Highlighting one success. Did you guys notice how Kiwi, right at the end of that performance, said, we're done, smash, game over, song done. That was a cue to the rest of the band to stop. Nice work, Kiwi. And then you guys can go, let's bring up the next band, right? Then you bring up the next band, okay? They come up. While they're coming up, this is a key, right, Ben? We want to start highlighting some of the successes we've seen, but at the same time, we don't want to turn all of our attention to me, the MC. How do we successfully do that on a gig as an MC? Any thoughts, folks? How do we make sure it's about the musicians, even though we're the ones talking?
Well, by highlighting what's happening on stage and letting the audience know.
Right? What's a concrete example of a way we've done that?
I hear a lot of times when you're reviewing a song that we just heard, I like to talk about how the musicians listen to each other, and to give a little bit of insight into what it means to be on a bandstand. So the parents can't always relate to it and be like, did you see what happened there? You know, when they got to, the bridge, and like things were a little funky for a minute there, and we weren't quite sure. But then Kiwi, hit the crash cymbal, and then we all knew where beat 1 was, and we got back on track, and they made it to the finish line in style.
Yeah. That's a perfect example. You're highlighting a challenge that they had, but most importantly, you're highlighting how that challenge led to the ultimate success, which was getting to the finish line. And like Ben said, it's the what's the process that's happening on the bandstand? Because what do parents focus on? What do parents?
Their kid.
On their one kid, right?
Thank you, Sean, Nicholas. They focus on their child, which is fine. I love focusing on my kid, but the reality is we want them to also be like heightened awareness. We want them to become aware of all of the successes that are happening that aren't as obvious as one single cymbal crash, right? Or my kid executed the part correctly. Mm-hmm. Dig it. Okay, so now you call up the next musicians. They come up, boom, crush it. You call up the next musicians. You probably got 10 to 11 songs on your program, right? So you have to keep moving. Basically, in terms of keeping the thing going, I generally look at my watch and I'm like, at the 30-minute mark, I should be somewhere around song 5, right?
Well, can I say something?
Yeah, totally.
Not about emceeing, but for producing a gig, what's really helpful is to set the order looking at the least amount of changeover during the set. So if you have a couple of kids doing multiple songs, put them in a row, because that will help move stuff.
Reference our earlier webinar for how to produce a BL gig.
Yes. Yeah. But wait a minute,
I missed that one.
It's a good tie-in.
It's a good tie-in, and it's a really important point from the emceeing perspective, because you'll oftentimes be like, Kiwi, you're not going anywhere, dude. Yep. You're a triple threat. You got 3 more songs to go.
True that.
Right? Nice. So you've got that kind of thing where you're like, you need to stay right where you are. Because keep in mind, the musicians have no idea what they're supposed to do or where they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So as an MC, you're kind of just like, John, you're staying here with me this time. Dude, you sound great. You know, it's like that vibe. Even a faculty member.
Right.
You know, like you're still on this.
Right. Definitely want to remind the faculty when they need to stay in position.
Yeah. That's a great one, because sometimes.
Garcia.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on this one?
Well, and oftentimes, like, you know, on a Sunday, you might be on your 3rd gig in a row.
Right.
And as a faculty member, Nicholas appreciates the gentle reminder that you're staying on bass, turn the page, you're playing another song.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so now we're moving through the gig. We've gotten to about midway, 3/4 of the way. This is a perfect time for a live BLAM. They've been playing, and now you need to just give them perspective on how it is that we achieve what we do achieve. Getting to what Ben was saying in terms of, do we have a live BLAM section there? Mm-hmm. I think it's...
Audience sing-along.
Those are intros. I think the live BLAM's at the top, dude. Okay. Sorry, I thought I saw something up there.
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay. Talking about a live BLAM game.
No, talking about live BLAM. Sorry. So a live BLAM is where you give them, the audience, the opportunity to better understand how a game-based learning system, big lessons about music, will give our students the skills they need to listen to one another. So live BLAMs is totally up to the MC. You can do your own version of one of ours. I like to do really simple versions, like rhythm song clapback, where I'm just literally trying to get them to call and respond to longer and longer types of lengths of rhythms. And when they, you know, eventually you stump them by, you know, I clap, then they clap, I clap, then they clap. Eventually they trip up and they can't do it. And you're like, well, that was a 2-measure phrase that I was asking you to listen to and repeat back. These musicians up on the bandstand are asked to listen to each other and remember sometimes 8 measures, 16 measures of music at a time. So we're playing games just like rhythm song clapback, in order to help them stretch their musical memory. That's one of the skills you have to have on the bandstand in order to succeed. Dig it? So the live BLAM, have fun with it. It can be player's choice. Anybody want to add any thoughts on live BLAMs that they've seen really succeed well?
The rhythm song clapback is definitely the most successful, and one that you can tailor to each level of a gig, you know, depending on from young beginner all the way up to advanced. And it's fun to, you know, throw some really complicated rhythms in there and try and stump the crowd. And then, you know, as always, just keeping the eye on the clock, you know, so that it stays fun. So, if
don't overdo it.
Right, so you don't overdo it. It's really, for me, the BLAM game is just all about keeping the game-based learning, as a focus. And also, we talk about how we want to make a gig less about the product of the performance, but about the process that we engage in, and that playing BLAM games live at the gig shows that we're process oriented, and that we want to involve the audience in that process.
Yeah, let me give 2 or 3 other games that I've played before that I've enjoyed. I've done 3-part harmonies, right, where you have to build a band. So we'll be like boom, 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 dee 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 dee, or whatever I'm going to do. I wouldn't sing that last one.
Put those together, right?
But put them together.
The drum thing you used to do, that's to me the most fun.
Where
you put like
divide.
a human beatbox.
Yeah, human beatbox. That's super fun. Same idea as a 3-part harmony, but you just 3-part groove box.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one's super fun. Maybe that.
Yeah, I might do that.
You
Take
like
2 parts out.
Yeah, and
okay,
see, Nicholas, thank you for joining us. We've got just maybe 4 or 5 more minutes, and we're done here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
We're gonna do the close.
Do the close. Let me say one more thing about the BLAM game to touch on what Ben said. Keep it tight, 3 to 5 minutes max, right? Really a few minutes.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect opportunity to get those folks in the back row that are sleeping back in the game. So a lot of times I'll play the BLAM game and I will literally walk all around the audience to get them engaged. You go to the back row, you go to the front row, you get everybody playing. And that kind of wakes them up and gives you a little injection to your home stretch. Which brings us to the close. I want to share 2 or 3 other possible things you can say while you're on the gig. Because a lot of times as an MC, you struggle with material, right? It's like, if you're not a stand-up comic here where you've got your set and you're just trying to recite it and perform it. But in many ways, we are using a lot of the same script over and over. It's not that much different than your private lesson, right? So here's a couple I use. In the middle of the set, I might turn around to the musicians before they start, and I'll be like, hey, Sarah, can you remind us of what the form is for this song? Form is a really important word that we use in our lessons all the time. That's the structure. That's knowing the beginning, middle, and end of a song. Sarah, will you just remind us what the form is? Another option is you'll just say something simple, like, Ben, you say this all the time. As 90% of the gig is just showing up, right? You guys have already gotten 9/10 of the way towards totally succeeding here just by showing up to the gig. So congratulations on showing up. Now you can put to practice all of these amazing tools and games you've been playing right here on the bandstand with your band. So things like that you can share. Closing up. Anything else you wanted to share, Ben, on that tip?
Oh, that 90% of the gig is showing up. I definitely like to use that one in the intro of the gig, and reminding throughout the gig too. Not just of like showing up to the gig to be in the audience, but just getting your butt onto the bandstand. You got up there, and maybe a kid had that freak out moment and they forgot something, but they stayed and they were on the bandstand and they remained present,
Yeah,
so
that's a great point.
Showing up there are many stages to it that we can praise,
Yeah, that's an awesome point. Cool. So the close, there are 3 goals to the close. Number 1, you want to thank all the people involved. I'll tell you one person who will be there, Mr. John Speck, because he's going to be managing your stage and your facility. So you want to be thanking John. You want to be thanking all of the faculty. You want to be thanking all of the families who took an hour out of their day to build community with us. And you want to be thanking all those musicians who took the risk and made that leap of faith to take all of that work they've been doing and all of those BLAM games they've been playing and bringing it to the main stage here at BMF. So there's a lot of people to thank. You want to make sure you take a moment to show gratitude. Next thing you want to do is end the gig on a high note. Okay, so we love to do this. Ben, do you want to describe what we do at the end of the gig?
So whatever is the last song, if it's been produced well, will be a nice, sing-along classic or, rousing tune.
Let it be, let it be.
Right, so the band that's playing that last song, before they even start, I would tell them, all right, this is our last number, and I want you guys to stay up on stage when you're done. Okay, don't go anywhere, right? Play your song and then keep your butts on the bench, all right? Because we got a special job for you. Then, after they finish their song, we're at the end of the gig, we've said our thank yous and all that. Then I turn to them and say, okay, now you're going to play the crowd out of the room, right? Because a lot of times we're doing a 4 or 5 gig run in a day, and we need to get the audience out of the room and free so we can reset for the next gig. And we want to do that in a joyful way, so we do it with music. So we tell the band, all right, let's take it to the chorus, And I might even count them off at this point, but if we've got an enterprising musician on the stage, they can do that. Count it in, loop the chorus, get the crowd singing along and standing up and walking out.
Thank you, good night. Thank you for coming. Band's still playing. Kids look a little scared. They're like, where's my mom going? But
they keep rocking.
They keep rocking. So yeah, we want to send them out pro. And I'll leave you with this final thought. As an MC of the gig, that you're doing a great job when you're treating it a little bit less like some performance and a little bit more like a spiritual journey. And I say that because we have heard oftentimes families will be like, this is like going to church for us. They finish a gig and they're like, this is the renewal. I always feel renewed when I come here. And so as an MC, that's kind of the role you're in. You're just guiding them in the spiritual journey, and you're asking them to be, go along on this ride with you. So if you have any questions, you can go to Ben. Ben's done MC'd a million times. Any closing thoughts?
Hit me up on Slack or an email. If you need resources, remember to look in Dropbox and G Drive. G Drive, we've got this one, MCing a PL gig, and then there are also BLAM working procedure, BLAM sheets that you can learn how to play things like rhythm song clapback that we mentioned.
And on that tip, I would recommend printing this out for at least the first 1 or 2 gigs that you MC, so that you've got language there. And if you're ever like, oh wait, what am I supposed to do now in the middle of a gig? You can just borrow words that we've used many times before.
All right.
Thank you. Good night.
And that's all we got. All right, everybody. We'll see you again next time on the next BMF webinar.